people love Svengoolie? If you don't, I don't know why you're here. Rich Coase is one of my favorite people in the world. I've known Rich for 30 years, and he's an incredible broadcaster, and he's like a hero of mine. He appeared on my radio show back when I was on WGN many, many, many times. We've known each other. I had the pleasure of being on his show a few times. I was the hand at the door. I threw chickens. Yeah. Oh, all this shit. I've been in the radio business for 37 years, and the hand at the door gets the biggest applause. It took me 2 minutes to do that. Hey, that's the best thing you ever did in your entire career, Nick. Because we didn't get to see your face. That's great. And you're right. That's how cool it is to know Svengoolie. And anyway, so Rich has been playing Svengoolie, the character of Svengoolie, for 45 years. And it is time to celebrate, right? Rich Coase is a national treasure. I love the guy. And so in honor of celebrating 45 years, we're all here. So let's welcome the man, the myth, the legend to the stage. Svengoolie, everybody! Yeah, right there.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here. Does the chicken get a microphone? No, it's all right.
Sure. Hi, Rich.
Hi, am I close enough to this?
Hey, can you hear us?
Most of you are saying too close.
I don't want to hear this guy.
First of all, Nick, thank you for saying such nice things.
Oh.
And you know,
I didn't mean any of it.
We've been friends for a long time, and I really value our friendship, and I'm happy that you're doing this.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I wouldn't miss this for the world. 5 years ago, we did a similar thing here.
That's right.
Because you did 40 years of Svengoolie, and that was a really, really fun night. By the way, we're going to have some surprise guests coming up during this next hour.
I love surprises.
Don't get too excited.
All right.
So we have some surprise guests who are going to be coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Rich, 45 years. Can you believe it's been 45 years?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
And I should probably couch that by saying there are certain people who go, "You have not been on the air for all 45 years." And that's true.
Exactly how they sound.
Yes. Every person that sends me an email like that sounds like that. The thing is, after I left WFLD, even during the time I did not have a Svengoolie show, people still wanted me to do appearances. So I do public appearances. I'd appear in different media, radio and TV. So I was still being the character. So that's why we say that it's 45 years, because since I started in 1979,
right,
there hasn't been a time when I didn't dress up in this fine raiment and go out all the time to visit with our people.
Well, that fine raiment actually changed over the years, because you look different in 1979.
Yes, I was much thinner. That's the other thing. I get these, "You have really gained weight." It's like,
but that's the voice of the comic book guy, and he's fat.
Well, I don't want to say anything.
Okay.
I don't cause problems with people. Originally, this mustache was a crepe hair mustache, a fake hair mustache, which I stuck on with the spirit gum.
Yeah.
And the problem with that was, along the way, my dentist kept saying, "Boy, you're having problems with your gums. What are you doing?" And we were trying to finally figured out, because it took so much spirit gum to stick it on in order to keep it on under the hot lights, it was leaking into my mouth, and it's really nasty stuff. So, being a big fan of Groucho Marx, and all the years that he painted on a mustache, I thought, if it's good enough for Groucho, it's good enough for me.
I'd never heard the spirit gum story before.
Oh, yeah. We like to call it the spirit gum story.
Oh, it's a good name for it. It's very
well. I thought we'd connect.
Wow. Okay. So, well, let's go back to how it all started, shall we? The character of Svengoolie, because you originally, when you started this character, he was the son of Svengoolie.
Right. Yes.
And the original Svengoolie was an amazing guy.
Yes.
Named Jerry G. Bishop.
Yeah. That's the one thing I always make sure people know is that when I sign autographs, I sign them Svengoolie Rich Coase in deference to him. because he was Svengoolie. And what happened was I loved when he worked in radio and TV. He started doing the voiceover stuff as Svengoolie, and he was just using jokes people sent in. So I sent him some jokes because I was such a fan. And eventually he realized that I was a broadcast student, and he said, can you write a specific thing about, say, one of the local commercials? And, song parodies and things like that. And eventually he brought me in to work with him, which, it was like a dream come true. Then when his Svengoolie show was canceled from WFLD, he brought me with him when he went to WMAQ Radio. And I was maybe 80% of the people he talked to on the phone being different characters. And we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And then, we were out of there. Losing your job at a radio station?
What?
It's impossible.
That happens?
I've heard rumors. And, eventually then I ended up doing some freelance work. I worked with Dick Orkin, Chicken Man. I wrote episodes of the last group of Chicken Man things, which were called Chicken Man Returns for the Last Time Again. And I got to play some characters in it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it.
So you were working with Jerry?
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get back to that story in a second, but as I said, we were going to have some surprise guests coming in, and we're going to get back to the origin story of how you became.
We'll be back to that in a moment.
But first, the Spirit Gum story.
I'm not telling that again.
I would like to welcome to the stage. Let's just have our first surprise guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Ladd is with us. Let's bring her up.
Oh my God.
How are you?
I'm good.
There's
Am I
Mr.
allowed to hug
Gooley.
you?
Yes, Mr. Gooley! Yay! I am
Please.
too.
Why don't you take a quick seat?
Thank you.
How are you, Jordan?
Look, I'm pretending I'm a gentleman.
Jordan will be up here in a little over an hour or
That's
so
right.
Oh, cool.
for the Cabin Fever reunion. Everybody,
Excellent.
Jordan is she's outstanding. And I just met her yesterday. You're fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We
But you
were
wanted to
sending
meet Mr.
messages back and forth
Yeah.
on Twitter a lot, and we were in touch. And when I found out she was coming here, I was so excited. And I told her, we'll finally get to meet in person. And you were so sweet. You said, my friends are going to be so jealous.
I have so many Svengoolie super fans, and I'm like, do I call him Sven? And they were like, I'd go with Mr. Gooley.
Please, call me Sven.
Okay.
This is so cool. I'm very happy to meet you. And I've enjoyed your work. Cabin Fever and being in Grindhouse. That must have been so cool.
It was, a real opportunity of a lifetime to work for Quentin Tarantino.
Sure.
I'm such a super fan of his too. Is this working?
Is it on?
I don't feel like it's working.
I hear you.
Let me see.
You hear me? Okay, all right. Well, then
Oh.
fine. I'll project.
There you go.
There. Much better.
Oh, keep going?
Yeah, sure. Yes. The Tarantino. You got a Tarantino. You can talk about.
Yes, he's exactly like he is on television. Exactly that much energy. He's so psyched about everything. Yes.
Now, I have to say, there's a lot of movies you've been in that we can't probably show on our show. But one that we did, and this was before we went national, was I think your first movie. Was it Embrace of the Vampire?
Oh my goodness, that was my first acting job. Yes.
With Alyssa Milano, I think?
Alyssa Milano was in it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to do some editing on that.
I imagine so, yeah. Or some like bars, maybe?
Yes.
Pure,
I think we went to
bars?
2 or 3 bars along the way just to...
Oh my goodness. Oh
Ladies and
my
gentlemen.
goodness.
But it's just so great to meet you. And I was a big fan of your mom. Did you tell her happy birthday for me?
I sure did.
Oh, good.
Well, for people who might not know her mom.
Her mom, of course, was Cheryl, still is, Cheryl Ladd
Because they're
of
all
Charlie's
too
Angels.
young.
Yeah, you young whippersnappers. I ought to snap my whip at you. And you played her character on Charlie's Angels as a child, right?
I did. I think I was maybe 3 years old. I have no memory of it.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
Really?
but I appear as her
That's
in a
great.
flashback.
Oh, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you do so many great things. It's just so nice to meet you and to have you visit here. It was nice of you to come in here.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor that you even know any of the pictures I've been in, and like I couldn't believe it when he started following me. I was like, oh my god.
I'm following you on Twitter.
Yeah.
Not home or anything. He's been known to do that. So.
You know that car that was parked on the block the other night? No, that's great. I'm hoping we'll catch you tomorrow maybe and then do a quick thing for our
I
show.
would love that. Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Jordan Ladd, everybody.
Thank you so much. You can hit me with a chicken if you want.
Do it!
Thank you. Jordan Ladd, ladies and gentlemen. That was a nice surprise.
Okay, back to the spirit gum story.
No, we were at, just about when I was going to go back
Dick
on the
Orkin.
air.
You were
Yeah,
just,
I was with Dick
finished with
Orkin,
yes.
and then he moved to the West Coast. Jerry moved to the West Coast. I did not want to make a commute because, you try going back and forth like that. So I did different jobs around here. I freelanced, and eventually, I should preface this by saying, once while we were still on radio, one of Jerry's friends at one of the TV stations asked him if he wanted to do Svengoolie just as like a summer fill-in show. And Jerry said, I don't know that I want to do that. Turns to me and says, but you could do it. Which, how generous was that? And he thought that I could handle it. He said, yeah, you could do it, and then, I'll produce, and you can write. And it's like, oh, okay. And we had some false starts on it, nothing happened. Okay, time passes. And then, when Jerry was heading out to the West Coast, he said, what are you going to do now? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe I'll try, being an idiot thinking it's so simple, maybe I'll try to pitch one of the local stations on doing a TV show. And he said, tell you what, if you want to try to do the Son of Svengoolie thing we talked about, you have my blessing, go ahead. He wanted nothing from me, he just gave me permission like that. So I went to WFLD and pitched the show to them. And the guy who was the program director said, we've been thinking about doing something like this before, but we're going to make a bake-off, and anybody can enter and see anybody. So it's like, I just brought you a whole show. I wrote bits and everything. It's like, well, we're going to have other people audition and see. But eventually I got it, and I went on in 1979, which is 45 years ago, and became the Son of Svengoolie officially.
And then, so that was 1979, June of 1979.
Yes, that's right.
The first movie, the first movie you ever showed.
The first movie I ever showed was in the year 2889, starring Paul Peterson.
But is he here? He might be sweeping up after we
Mr. Peterson could not make it, so accepting the award will be. It was a pretty awful movie. And the second week, they had planned one of those Philippine-type horror movies. And when the general manager saw it, after we'd already shot the show, he said, oh, I don't want to run that. Give him something else. So it was like, okay, that's typical broadcast work.
Geniuses.
Yeah, but we stayed on for 6.5 years. And then when they became Fox, they felt that my show was not suitable for the Fox network.
Right,
but the Joan Rivers talk show was.
Yeah, their biggest show at that time was Married with Children.
I should mention.
It's a great show, but it's,
Doug, who does the music with me, Doug Scharf, alias Doug Graves, he actually was in the band of the Joan Rivers show.
Oh, that's...
He played trumpet in that. And speaking of music, say, Nick.
Look at Captain Segway.
Hi, Captain Segway here.
Yes, we have some. You have some parodies of some.
We do.
Some videos that you wanted to play.
Yes. Why don't we just run the first one?
Okay.
And I'll talk about it
We
afterward.
are reliving the 45 years of Sven, and so let's see let's see
like a fun song parody thing.
Sean.
Please watch your screen. I have to mention the songs that we brought to show you today are ones that we can no longer show. The reason being, when we were local, our management felt, we could do any songs whatsoever. But when we went national, they were a little worried that we didn't have rights to the songs. And so we didn't want to risk getting sued. So that's why now, most of the time, I'm doing songs that are public domain. We occasionally get permission from people like Jim Peterick, the Go-Go's, and Freddie Cannon, our pal Freddie Cannon, who did the Svengoolie Stomp. But we have to get permission in order to do it. So I thought you might like to see some of these that
Can't see them anymore.
have not been available
That's great.
in any store.
I do want to mention, I mentioned at the top of this that I've been lucky enough to have been on Sven's show, I don't know, three, 4 times.
Yeah.
Something along that lines. And I also was on Stoojapalooza with you.
Yes.
You guys remember Stoojapalooza? But anyway, I do want to make this. I just want to make this clear for people who don't know this. The times that I've visited Rich on the set or been a part of the show, the amount of work that this guy does on the show is astonishing, and I mean that. I'm serious. I'm not being Sammy Maudlin on SCTV right now. I'm serious.
And I mean that.
And I mean that, Pat. I do. So he writes every joke. The entire script is written by him. The songs are written by him. The lyrics, the song. Well, he rips off the music, but like every single word that is uttered, he writes. When he does the segment where he tells you the background of the people that are in it, and that he researches all of that. He does. He doesn't have a staff. He writes it all, and he does a script. There's a script this thick for every episode that he does. And when you walk in there, the first time I walked in to work with you on the show, I was like, how the hell do you do this? And you've been doing it for 45 years, and it's not just you walking on a set with a costume on and being wacky. You are invested in this show 100%, and every single thing that you see on that show is generated from this one guy. And it's amazing. I just want to make sure that people know that, Rich, because like the credits roll by at the end, it says written by Manning Hat and all that stuff. But the amount of work that you do, and you're in control of the whole thing. It is you do unbelievable work. And anybody who's ever done any kind of writing or performing or anything, I'm in awe of what you do. And I just wanted everybody to know the amount of work you do on every single episode.
A lot of people think that TV shows have huge staffs, and they think that I have Buddy and Sally in the back room writing my jokes. Hey, Rob.
Another one that's too old.
Google it. And we have a very small staff. There's myself. There's my executive producer, Jim Roach. There's our director and chief editor, Chris Faulkner. And then we have an audio guy for when we shoot the show, and we have a floor manager, and that's it. This is a national show, and that's the number of people who are working on it. And I couldn't be working with better people. They all love the show. They're as dedicated to it as I am. And quite honestly, I've said this before, I would not still be doing it without these guys.
And he's going to continue to do it. There's all these rumors about you, retiring.
It's not just that. People are putting, every few months, it's like, oh, he had another heart attack. I've had a couple of heart attacks. I had a very severe cardiac arrest, even.
I'm sorry, what?
But I'm still. Stop that. But invariably, somebody would, and I'll get these emails saying, oh, I hope you recover quickly. And I'm like, recover what? Your sofa or something? Yeah. and it's amazing to me. And then, I've stated over and over again, I will retire if I'm physically unable to do it because of health, or if I'm not having fun anymore. Otherwise, you're stuck with me.
Right. And clearly, Rich, everybody, look at the size of the size of the crowd in here. People want you to keep doing it, ever. So.
that means a lot to me. I've always said one of the reasons I'm still doing it is because when I do appearances like this, people come up to me and they thank me for doing it and for still doing it, and they tell me how important it's been in their lives, which is amazing to me and so flattering.
Well, you know, just an example of that was Jordan, who was up here saying,
Yeah.
all my friends were jealous, and you better call him
Yeah.
Mr. Goolie. So, I want to get into some of the other things. Let's show another parody.
Yes.
Another
I would
song.
like to see another
You want to
song.
see another song?
I'm Casey Kasem, and now let's see what's number one on the charts.
Ah, this is big.
One thing I need to explain about that, at the time that we recorded this, Bob Hope was doing these commercials for Kmart, in which he was pitching how great it was. And at the end of it, I think he's sitting in a diner, and he says something, hey, I better get there right away. And they actually sped it up like we did there with him racing through the thing. And the waitress did like a take. So that kind of explains it. Not much, but...
Doug is in that, obviously.
Doug
Now, you've known
Sharp.
Doug for...
Since high school.
school, yeah.
We were in bands together in high school. He's been pretty much in any shows that I've done. And we're real good friends. And now, when you see the saxophonist Anita Exorcist on our show, that's his daughter, Natalie. So the talent runs in the family, obviously.
Can we talk a little bit about how you transitioned from son of Svengoolie to Svengoolie?
Yeah, Neil Saban, the genius who was behind MeTV, started the U, as it was called, and he changed what was a lot of brokered Spanish programming to true independent. And I was the first talent that he hired, and he had asked me, do you mind doing that character again? And I said, no, because again, I knew how much it means to people. And right before I was going to start, Jerry G. Bishop came into town, and we were visiting, and I mentioned to him, yeah, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm wondering if I should shorten the name or, call it something else. And he said to me, again, being so generous, look, you're all grown up, just be Svengoolie. And we started on WCIU, New Year's Eve 1994 going into 1995, and first we're on the local station WCIU, and then Neil decided we should be on the MeTV network, and we're on all over the country now.
Jerry G. Bishop and... Yeah, you're all grown up, just be Svengoolie.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And he never wanted anything from me. I do know that he was proud of what I did.
Yeah.
And, he's gone now, but he meant the world to me, and I owe all this to him.
It's incredible to have a mentor in the business.
Definitely
It is,
so, and
uh,
especially somebody like that that's so generous.
No, it's incredible. I can speak from personal experience, actually. So, hey, well, we're talking about surprises, right?
Why, yes.
What?
Do you have another?
I have another one just specifically for you. This guy is one of my favorite actors and one of my favorite people, and I just had him on my. I recorded on my podcast a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and he is here. He is part of a trio of brothers who are here. His brother Ivan, and his brother Sam. They're going to be here tomorrow, but he's here right now to say hello to you, Ted Rainey, everybody.
Svengoolie! It's the great Svengoolie! I love it! Everybody loves Svengoolie! If it wasn't for Svengoolie, what would we have done during the pandemic? Nothing. I know.
How are you, Ted?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
I'm so excited to see you.
And now I'm shaken, not stirred.
No, normally, doing interviews, frequently I'm like, okay, cool, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk to Svengoolie,
That's
I
nice.
don't care what I have to say, but this guy's awesome. How you doing, everybody?
Thank you for having me in your fabulous city of Chicago, Illinois. Well, technically I'm from Rosemont. Chicago, very light Chicago. Suburban, happy Chicago. But I'm from Michigan, so we still call it the correct name of pop, you know.
As opposed to soda.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
What do people ask you the most when you do these events?
How long am I going to be here, and will I leave soon? No, I'm just kidding. No, what do I get asked? All kinds of questions. Sometimes these events are strictly gamer conventions, in which case I answer questions about my very fortunate, luckily popular game, The Quarry. From Supermassive Games. Oh, thank you. And if they're not thank you. Now, horror ones like this, it's about usually weird-ass movies I've done, like Skinner and these strange B movies. I'm in a million of them, They're just bizarre. And, of course, Evil Dead and stuff.
I would like to ask about
Show and everything.
About the term fake shemp.
Oh shit, I don't know, man. I didn't come up with that. I don't know. I think that you'd have to probably ask my brother Sam.
Well, I know a little bit about it. In the last 4 Stooge shorts of the Shemp era, Shemp had already died, but he was still in them, and they intercut old footage, but also they'd have one of the other actors, a lot of times a guy named Joe Palma, who would be shot from the back and have on a Shemp wig. And occasionally you'll catch it because they'll have him do the beep, 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 beep. But it sounds like he's going beep, 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 beep. And it's terrible. And in a lot of the Raimi movies, they will list someone in the cast as a fake Shemp.
Well, then now you know.
Why did I ask if I knew?
I don't know. This is very interesting.
Yes.
Makes me hungry. I forgot that I didn't eat dinner. That's something.
I think they serve better stuff than that here.
I hope so.
Oh my gosh.
And so, well, I guess we're all at a rarefied point. Well, all of you folks are at this convention beginning, because that means you still have enough to pay your rent. I can guarantee you that won't last very long. But I hope that you will be able to. But if not, and you're sleeping outside, you'll still have lots of cool autographs. And that's something to think about to keep you, at least your heart warm. If not, you're...
Ted, do you have a favorite old movie that you would watch on TV? Old horror movie, scary movie that you would watch on TV when you were a kid? Do you have a favorite?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, Nick DiGilio over here, folks. I know you all know him, especially from Chicago. He's a Chicago legend. I was on his podcast a few weeks ago, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Just one of the best experiences I've ever had.
One applause.
Oh, thank you. No, and then
By the way, did you mention that I was a hand at the door?
the guy that saw it went. Yes, I think we talked about this a little bit. I don't know if there's one movie specifically that I saw that I went, okay, I love horror movies. It was just a combination of things, but primarily it was a radio show, believe it or not, and not an old-time radio show that you might find online on, say, like archive.org. But rather, when I was 13 years old in 1978, CBS decided to revive the radio show format. The last radio show went off the air roughly 1963 or 64. So it had been about 10 years. And they wisely assumed, well, there still must be people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, 50s, and 60s who still remember radio and miss it. And they created this show. It was called the CBS Radio Mystery Theater. Yeah. And it was hosted by E.G. Marshall. Yep. And at every beginning, they kind of borrowed a bunch from other ones like, I would say like X-1 and other ones like that. And Marshall would come on 3 times a week. That's how often they did it. And he would say, you hear a big creaking door sound. And and he would go, "Come in." And you'd hear this, you know, I would tune. I wasn't allowed to watch TV past like 9, right? 8 maybe, probably 8 o'clock when I was 13 or something. It was pretty square. But then I would go up to my room and go, okay, I won't watch anything, and I would tune to the CBS. And it was crazy. It was like you were living in the 40s or 50s. The news would come on at the top of the news hour, and then this radio show come on, and it was really scary and gory. Like EC Comics sometimes, with it, you'd hear nasty eviscerations, you couldn't see it, but your mind would make it so much worse. But this show was probably the #1 inspiration for me to be an actor, and then finally to kind of go into horror movies.
That's great, man. That is great. That's really. I remember listening to it myself.
Yeah, I also did.
They were great. You can now, of course, they're off the air naturally, but you can find them on 1,000, old-time radio stations. So I recommend them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always enjoyed that kind of stuff too, and I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I did
Definitely
too.
so.
And I learned how storytelling was done. I also learned, which helped me as a writer, but I also learned the power of excellent diction is invaluable. And I think perhaps I do think there's some really remarkably great young actors out there, kids who are in their teens and early 20s that are just dynamite, incomparable, really. But I think if they have a weakness, it's diction, because when you have an iPhone, there's really no need to perform on stage.
Sure.
Which is where you must have good diction, or the audience simply can't hear you. So an iPhone, it's not necessary. I suppose if I were starting acting today, I wouldn't bother being a stage actor either.
Sure.
But I do think that's perhaps a bit of a what's it called, kind of a crux pin, I suppose, these days. If I could say anything to younger actors, it would be that.
Pretty good.
Ted, thanks for coming by.
Ted,
man.
Thanks for having me, folks. Thank you so much.
Go by his table.
Ted Ramey, ladies and gentlemen.
He's outstanding. Go visit his table. His brother Ivan and his brother Sam are going to be here as well, and they got photo ops with all 3 of them. So you can get your picture taken with all 3 of those guys.
And maybe one of you could be a fake Shemp.
That's right. Shemp is my favorite stooge, as you know.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Shemp,
Yeah,
too.
he's
I know there are people who, if it isn't Curly, they're like, oh, it's not Curly.
Yeah.
And even worse is it's Joe Besser.
Well, that's the
not so hard. Oh, my God.
I remember when you hosted Stoogepalooza, which was a show that Rich would host. When you would play, it was 3 hours, wasn't it?
No, it was just 2.
Oh, felt like 3. It's 2 hours. 2 hours. But you would do like themes.
Yes.
And my favorite was, oh no, it's a Joe. And you showed nothing but Joe.
Yes.
And people would get so pissed.
They would. Anytime I showed a Joe Besser short, there was one guy who would email me. There would be a long page, and all it would say, no more Joe, no more Joe, no more Joe. An entire page of that. So I think he didn't like him.
No. It was funny because you'd say, oh no, oh no, it's a Joe, was one.
Yeah.
And the one that I was on, you were kind enough to show nothing but Shemp.
Yes.
And it was in September, and it was called Shemptember. Yeah. And then you gave me a quiz, and I got every damn question wrong on the quiz.
Yeah, we did almost 100 of those shows, and I had a different theme for every one of them. Now, some things in it were a stretch, but it was a lot of fun coming up with it. And, using all the different, there's 190 Stooge shorts, and we managed to show them all, and even, show some a couple times.
And the other thing is that if you watch Sven on Saturday nights, he is preceded by the 3 Stooges.
And I'm followed by Batman and Star Trek, which leads me to our next
Oh,
song.
look at Captain Secretary.
Captain Kirk, William Shatner, starred in a wonderful movie that we've shown called Kingdom of the Spiders. And if you thought you liked that, you're not going to after you see this.
Is there a comedian alive who hasn't done a bit on the way William Shatner delivers his lines? Here's William Shatner, out west, no Starfleet around, he's out of it. No Wrath of Khan, he's too busy checking cattle spit. All the cat. Here's William Shatner, out west, no Starfleet around, he's out of it. No Wrath of Khan, he's too busy checking cattle spit. All the cattle ends up as hamburgers getting flipped by spatulas. They smother them, not with onions but tarantulas. All the girls hear the voice of doom.
Please, dear doctor, you must use the men's room.
Talk like Bill Shatner.
Not if I can help it.
The gas station guy found a big surprise in a stack of Michelins. There's trouble caused by some small furry specimens. From Spider Hill, spiders kill. They're using beef as a fattener. When the cattle dies, we're talking like William Shatner. All the guys on the Enterprise here.
Spider nibbles. My God, they're not tribbles.
Talk like Bill Shatner.
Dude, no way.
Shut up, will you?
Little Miss Muffet, beam up my tuffet. Along came a spider.
What's with the outfit? You some kind of spaceman?
So during that clip, actually during all of them, some of the great random sound effects that pop up on your show, and some of those date back to Jerry G. Bishop,
Yes,
correct?
I do.
I love those. Now, sometimes you don't know which ones are going to play, right? So like so they just my favorite is ow ow ow. That's one of my favorites. And I like the no. What's the
Yes, no. Sorry.
no, that one I like that one. There's so many of them that I love.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the origin of how that started, the dropping of the random sound effects, and I love when they drop. I can tell when they drop something you're not expecting.
Yes.
Which I love.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, those type things were very prevalent in radio. Obviously, you heard disc jockeys use them. Jerry was a master of that. He had two, at the time they were cartridges, that had nothing but yes answers on them, and one that was no's. And, you know, if he wanted an answer to something, they'd just randomly hit one. And he'd get these little clips from TV shows, from commercials, from records, and even from some of the people he was on the radio with at stations. And I inherited them, and since then, we've added to them. We have, about 12 pages worth of them, and each section is like 99 different sounds. So we use them a lot. And Jerry was really the first person I ever remember seeing that would use those type things on TV.
Yeah.
So I have just continued with the torch that he handed to me.
Do you have a favorite?
I always liked, no, sorry. Because it was like, you know, this sort of, you know, apologetic idiot.
Yeah.
I don't know where that one came from. That's
And ow 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 goes back. Ow ow ow. That goes back to Jerry, right?
Yeah, and that actually came from a Stan Freberg comedy record.
Oh yeah, God, of course. Yeah, that's right.
Of course.
There's so many of them. Like I like Bing Bong, Bing Bang.
Oh, Bang Boom Bang.
Yeah.
Or Boom Bang Boom.
Yeah. That's great.
It's like I memorized all these.
Well, you hear them
years.
all the time.
Yes,
I
I do indeed.
And when are the new ones added? I mean, because there are newer ones.
Yeah.
Do they go past you, or sometimes do they play a new one? You had, hey, I didn't approve of that. What the hell was
Most
that?
of the time, it's ones I know.
Oh, okay.
But occasionally, one of our audio guys will come up with something unexpected. For a while, they had. I'm trying to remember what it was. No, but close.
Very good.
I think it was actually clips of a certain politician that we actually couldn't use now anymore.
You know, someone said Berwin. How'd that start?
That goes back to Jerry.
Yeah.
And originally, when he was starting his show, he was trying to be kind of like Goulardi in Cleveland, who made fun of the suburb of Parma.
Right.
But also at that time, Roland Martin's Laugh-In was on, and they would make small town jokes about Burbank, beautiful downtown Burbank, just like Johnny Carson did.
Right.
So Jerry wanted to combine those, and he was trying to think of a local suburb. There was a Burbank, but that he didn't want to do the same thing. So he hit upon Berwyn, where at the time one of their main streets had nothing but used car lots and savings and loans, and then found out that every year they have the Hobie Parade, which, you know, is a parade in honor of the mushroom. And he thought, this is going to be it.
That's it.
And so he started it, and again, that's another part of the torch that I continue with.
You know, we're talking about Burr. By the way, I really do want to mention, just quickly, you mentioned Ghoulardi.
Yes.
Ghoulardi, for people who might not know, Ghoulardi was Ernie Anderson.
Yes.
Who is Paul Thomas Anderson's father. So the director of Boogie Nights and the best movie ever made, Magnolia. Also was he was the horror host. And so before we get to the other thing I was going to ask you, horror hosts in general, do you guys get along, or do you ever beat the hell out of each other? Other local horror hosts from other cities and things like that.
Yeah,
they're
they're all over the place, and yeah, most of them, when I meet them, they're very cordial, and I'm happy to see them too. It's great for them to be keeping the genre alive. There's a couple here and there that I guess are jealous of me, and they'll badmouth me whenever they can, but I always say there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
And you'll find them all over the internet. Since we hit it big nationally, that has actually encouraged some stations in cities to start their own local horror show host stuff. So it's just nice to see that it's a genre that has continued, because it used to be just in cycles. There'd be a lot of them, and it would go away. There'd be a lot and go away. And the fact that I've been around now for so long,
45 years.
I guess it's not a cyclical thing anymore. And there's other people too who are doing it, so it's nice to see that.
Well, so the Berwyn thing.
Yes.
Now, obviously, people in Berwyn love it.
Yes.
Was anybody ever worried that Berwyn was going to get mad? And you got the key to the city to Berwyn. There's like Svengoolie Day in Berwyn, so they love it. It's the most attention Berwyn ever got.
Well, there was one mayor who lasted for one term, an independent mayor, and he would go out of his way to say, we're not some place that Svengoolie makes jokes about. And he was really, vehement about it. And I remember when I was doing the Hobie Parade one year, a friend of his, a rather, shall we say, overserved older lady, came and said, I don't like that you do Berwyn jokes. And I said, well, that's what I do. And the mayor doesn't like it either. I said, okay. And she said, he's an independent. And I said, well, that's why. But other than that, every other mayor has been fond of it. I remember somebody was interviewing people on the street, and there was an older lady, and they asked her, do you mind that he makes fun of Berwyn? And she said, no, that's what put us on the map.
Absolutely.
Which was very sweet. And I love going there. People from there have always treated me really, really well.
Yeah.
They get the fact that I'm just joking, and that's an important part of this, that they understand, and I'm so happy. They did do a Svengoolie Day there, which we recorded for the Svengoolie Uncrypted show.
So we mentioned Berwyn, so let's move on to the creation of some of your supporting characters. Kerwin, let's start with Kerwin.
Kerwin, yeah.
And his jokes. I love Kerwin, and one of the reasons I love him so much is because of his voice.
Yes.
Because you know how I feel about the person.
I know that,
yeah.
yes.
But
the thing is that we've had different people doing the male segments with me. We had Doug do it for a while,
right.
But he was not always available.
Oh, the best.
We had Ed the Bat, named after Ed Wood, and obviously they're offended. They're leaving.
This guy's been doing this for 45 years.
You couldn't wait 45 minutes? At the Bat, and I did that voice, and then they would affect it, so it was real high and screechy. My general manager absolutely hated that voice. He said, you got to get rid of him. And so we actually taped the part where he actually fired him and hit him with a club. And there are all these other, and finally, as a surprise actually, a young lady who worked on the Green Screen Adventures show created this prehistoric rubber chicken. And, we thought, obviously he had to be known as Kerwin, because that sounded like Berwyn. But looking at him, he had these kind of googly eyes and funny teeth. It always reminded me of Jerry Lewis. So we decided that would be his voice.
I love that. Okay, that's Kerwin. I want to get into Tombstone and a little bit of that, but we have another surprise. What the hell's going on? We have another surprise guest.
Are there no limits?
There are no limits.
Well, in that
and
case-
those people who just left, they're going to be pissed.
Okay.
Let's say hello to a tremendous actor who's been making some incredible movies over the years and who has starred in The Fog and Halloween 3, which will be screened in here, and Night of the Creeps. This guy is Escape from New York. I'll just go on if you want. It's one of my favorite people, one of the nicest guys that you will ever
Definitely
meet,
so,
and
yeah.
a fan of Svengoolie. Everybody, let's say hi to Tom Urban, everybody. Hi, Tom.
Svengoolie! Oh my God, it's so long since
I
I've
know,
seen you.
yeah. It's probably been what, about 4 years, maybe?
Maybe even longer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we've met before here at Flashback, and every time I've seen him, we've done little interviews. He's always been so great and so much fun. Even once you sang for me the Silver Shamrock song, which meant a lot to me.
I will sing it for you. I hate this song. We heard this song every scene we shot in Halloween 3. 3 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 3 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
You know,
Come on, kids, get your masks.
when you see the Tom Atkins on a movie, when you see your name on the credits, it's going to be good. That's usually the way.
Definitely so, yeah. And, did you play Macbeth once?
Did I who? Now, here's one of the things that's happened to me since the last time I saw the great Svengoolie was that my hearing in both ears went to Albuquerque without me. I can't hear it.
Okay, what I said was, can you hear it if I talk into the mic? Did you play Macbeth?
Oh, I did. Oh my God, yeah, I did. I played that terrible role. Oh, and you know the best part of it, I played it in Pittsburgh. Macbeth, the Thane, and that Scottish play, as they say.
Yeah.
And I played it. My Lady Macbeth was Jean Smart.
Oh, wow.
One of the all-time great actresses. And I've often thought since then, did you see her on Hacks? Did you have
yes,
to watch?
yes.
Oh,
She's
my
unbelievable.
God.
She's great.
It was the best role she ever had to play. I was after Lady Macbeth. But she was so wonderful on that. And I always thought afterwards, long before Hacks and everything, but when we finished the run, and it was good, but could have been great. It could have been great had I loved her more. If we had had a really strong physical attraction, it would have been better, because I think Macbeth is a great love story in addition to being a terrible murdering play full of ghosts and zombies before they were fashionable.
When last time I saw you, we were talking about how we couldn't find your action figure from Night of the Creeps.
Yeah.
I still have not found one.
Really? Come
Yeah.
on, get out.
I can't help it.
Has anybody seen any in the vendor room?
I'll get
Don't answer all at once.
you one. I'll get you one.
You'll get him one?
I'll get you one.
That's so nice.
They they come out with a Night of the Creeps. They came out, the exact same guy in different clothes for Halloween 3.
Yeah.
He became Dr. Chalice.
You know, they recycle things. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh my God! And you know, you always have been so nice when I see you. I remember you saying that your sister watches me too.
Oh, my darling sister Cheryl Jean. She's we're all old now. Well, you're not. You're forever.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm 85. My sister's about 78, 79, somewhere in there. And Cheryl watches Svengoolie every Saturday night. And I do too sometimes, but not as regularly as she does.
Yeah.
I love some of the old movies you guys have on. Some of them.
Listen, I agree with you.
All right, Tommy Atkins, everybody. Tommy Atkins.
Great to see you too.
It always is.
All right.
All right.
Tom Atkins, everybody.
By the way, Halloween 3 live in this room, shown with Alan Howarth playing the score tomorrow night.
That's very cool.
Now, see, you mentioned zombies that are out of fashion before they were in fashion.
Yes.
Remember? Why would I mention that to you?
Well, I think because we have one more song.
What?
Captain Segway Jr. You might remember a song called Mambo Number 5. Another one-hit wonder. And you might wonder why we did this. Take a look at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Zombie number 5.
Well, for all people who work with us at WCIU, the blonde lady is Valerie Makita, who now is on the West Coast and an actress.
Very cool. Those are really great. I do want to mention. I mentioned. I teased Tombstone, which I don't want to do.
Oh, yeah.
I love Tombstone. He's one of my favorite characters on the.
Back on Jerry's show, he had a female skull that had green hair and was patterned after Flip Wilson's Geraldine. And she was called, yes, thank you. She was called Zelda. So when we started, we wanted to do something different. So we decided we'd have a relative of hers. So we had the skull with the big red mustache, and at the time a big cigar, which we got rid of because when his mouth would move, it would always fall out. But he was actually inspired by, and you'll have to Google this one too, the character comedian Raymond J. Johnson Jr. who always said, "You can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay, or you can call me Johnny." So we did the same thing with Tombstone, and he had a thing like, "You can call me Z, or you can call me T, or you can," and his voice was kind of based on that. And now we don't do that because, like many of you, nobody would know what it was.
He was on the Gong Show at one time.
Yes, he was.
And it's funny, and again, I just want to emphasize that Tombstone and Kerwin and all that stuff, he does all the voices. Everything. Again, everything. So we're at 45 years now, and I wanted to close out with what is next for you. You mentioned that you're going to continue doing it as long as you can, for as long as anybody wants you. But what do we got? Is there anything that we're looking forward to in the future besides the photo ops tomorrow? the autograph sessions, and the costume contest at 5 o'clock, which is always the highlight of the weekend.
Oh, sure. It's one of my favorite things to do.
So what's coming? What's next for Rich Coes as Svengoolie?
I'm going to go home tonight and get some sleep. But besides that, we're going to try to get out, outside of the Chicago area, maybe for some appearances. There's the chance that I'm going to be on Joe Bob Briggs' Drive-In Jamboree this year. And we might be, this is not definite yet, we might be at the Busch Gardens in Tampa.
Wow.
So, but then we'll be doing the usual stuff we do, the famous Nightmare on Chicago Street in Elgin. I will be at the Volo Auto Museum for our usual pre-Halloween visit. We'll still be on next year. We're already planning the movies, and we're getting in some that I've always wanted to run that we've never run before. So, at least I'm crossing my fingers on it. They're still trying to make the deals. But like I said, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And a big part of the reason, is because of you guys. And I thank you so much for your support all these years and for sticking with me.
To close out, and I think I speak for everybody. I think you're a national treasure, Rich. I really do. No, I'm serious.
Most people hope I would be a buried treasure.
I set him up, you tee him off.
Hey, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that's right.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's wild. Here's Joey Heatherton.
Google it. I just want to say, I personally just want to say thank you because every Saturday night, if I'm not watching it, I DVR it and I watch it every week, and I've seen every one of the movies 900 times, and I don't care. And I watch them over and over and over again. And there are certain movies that I love that you show. Again, some of the fan favorites, really quickly. Adam Costello, Right Meet Frankenstein. That's one of the fan.
That's coming up this fall.
That coming up this fall. Ghost. That boy, Luther.
Goes to Mr. Chicken. Sure.
Those are some of the favorites. But I love it and I know sometimes it's hard to get the rights back. When you show the Hammer stuff, I mean, Peter Cushing is a personal, like, my hero.
Oh yeah.
And when you show the Hammer stuff, I love it, and you have a great time when you do it. And
Sure.
But anything you show, I don't care what it is. Tomorrow, Cult of the Cobra.
Cult of the Cobra.
At 7 o'clock, but you'll be here. And so
DVR.
But I just want to say, we all say thank you for 45 years, Rich. And I want another 45. Rich Coes, Svengoolie, everybody. And we need to clear out the room. Rich is going to exit that way. He's going to exit that way. But thank you guys.
Thank you all.